Right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so I'm the special guest star because Sandra couldn't make it, so I decided that I would do something a bit more practical. So what I decided to talk to you about was giving feedback. So the reason why I decided to do this presentation is for a couple of things. So one is that my background. So I studied psychology and occupational psychology, which is basically the science of human behavior at work. And I worked in HR for a while. And while I was working there, one of the things that we did was teach managers how to give feedback. So I know a few tricks and a few things on what to say and what to do to avoid people getting a bit too defensive, or maybe to, I'll explain a bit more detail about it. So, and the other thing is that part of what we do, of course, is we teach English to people, and we also give feedback to TEFLers to improve their way of teaching English. So I thought that this would be a good chance to show you a few ways on how to give feedback to them. And I don't know, maybe you can apply it to teaching English as well. All right, okay. So first of all, let's start with, I want to ask you guys a question. So tell me, does anyone have an occasion where they receive feedback, not necessarily here at Oxford, but maybe at a previous job or at university? Has anyone received feedback that was bad? In other words, that you received feedback, not negative feedback, I mean that it was done in a bad way. Yeah? Does anyone have an example?
So typical one is university lecturers. You don't agree with, it's more or less that. So you've done everything correct, and they couldn't change your grade, but they want to say, oh, well, this is not what I think, so for that reason I'm going to give you this feedback.
All right, okay, cool. Yeah. All right, anything else?
I had a project in college that I did that we were working on it for about 3 months, and for about the first month and a half, the lecturer was saying, oh, it's coming along well, it's coming along good, and then it came to the class where we were getting feedback, and then he completely changed everything he said, where he said, well, actually, I don't like this, and I don't like this now, and I don't like this. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me this a month ago? I hadn't already done a month and a half's work on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Like
yeah, well, bad, but good. more examples. Anybody else have any examples? Yeah?
I have one.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I had to do a level test. I had to make a proposal of a level test. You remember some sessions ago that we did a level test?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I had that mission to do a level test, and then I have worked very hard, and the comment was devastating.
Okay. Right, okay.
Oh, it's Jesus Christ.
So, well, I have an example as well. I remember I was working as a one of my first jobs in London during the credit crunch, I might add, so times were tough. So I was working in an HR department, and they basically, I was relieved of my duties after a certain length of time, okay? Not sure why, but they didn't need me anymore, okay? But the HR lady took me into an office, and she sat down, and she said, and she smiled, and she was really happy, going, so I just have something really interesting to tell you, and something really, and I was like, okay. And she basically told me that she didn't need me anymore. But she said so happily, and I walked out. I got the message. I knew she told me not to come back tomorrow. But I walked out thinking, why does she? I'm confused, you know. So I mean, if you think about the examples that we gave, you know, some people said that this, you know, there's really. I think the problem was that it was subjective. The feedback you got was very subjective, so it wasn't very objective. Yours wasn't. It was too vague, right?
No, it was very concrete.
Very concrete, but you didn't know. But did you know what was devastating?
No.
So it wasn't specific.
Everything was wrong with
everything. Okay, so it didn't need to be specific. So so that's kind of some of the things that you need to think of. We need to think about when we give feedback. So is it objective? Is it specific? And also, are you getting the message across? So in my case, it was said in a very jovial way, and yet the news that was given was bad news, really. I mean, it was negative feedback, really. Well, it wasn't even feedback, actually. It was told to leave. But, okay, so I want to give you some tips on how to actually give feedback in that way. So But can anyone tell me why we give feedback? Why is it important to give feedback?
To improve.
Yeah, okay, to improve, yeah. That's basically it, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You want to encourage, yeah.
It's continuous assessment.
Yeah,
We don't have
exactly.
examples, so to see how they progress.
Yeah. So you want to, the things that they do well, you want to tell them so they continue to do it. And the things they do not so well, you want to discourage them from doing those things, right? Okay. So let's talk about some tips then on how to give feedback. First thing, has anyone heard of the shit sandwich? Shit sandwich. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Yes. What's the shit sandwich, Michael?
It's where you deliver something motivating and constructive, and then you say perhaps something a little bit negative, and then you round up with something good as well.
Yes, more or less. It's why it's used. Do you know? It is.
It was
You're
politely
correct,
put.
more or less.
Shit sandwich, that was politely
But
put.
shouldn't you cover that with something like
Yeah, it's more. The intention is to deliver a bad message, but you wrap it up in good things. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you said. Sorry. So, so the reason why it's used is that most people they don't like giving negative feedback, so they think that by softening the blow, it'll make life a lot easier. So the idea is that, well, we shouldn't really do this. So the reason why is because the person, it's a little bit like what I experienced. So I was told negative feedback, but it was done in a very positive way. So I walked out feeling kind of confused, and I didn't know whether to come back the next day. So it's a little bit like that. So if you have something negative to say, just say it. The other person probably sees through it, or you might not get the message across. So that's one thing. Another tip on how to give feedback is, first of all, ask them how they thought they did. So maybe when you've received feedback, that's what you've been told first. They said, so how do you think it went? That's actually really useful. Does anyone know why you would do that?
So they can spot their mistakes?
Yeah, it is. So it's good for them because it helps them reflect. It's also good for you because it means that you're not going in on the attack right at the beginning.
The only problem is if they say, that was perfect.
Yeah,
Then you're like,
Terrible.
but they would
Are you
think
sure?
that anyway. They would think that anyway whether you ask them that or not.
Yeah. True.
Okay, timing. When do you think that feedback should be given? How close to the time?
On Friday afternoon before Christmas.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Okay. So that's exactly when not to give feedback. So don't give it just before a break because it gives them too long to. If it's negative feedback, then people will think all week long, oh God, they may not come back. So
as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, yeah. And does anyone? Well, yeah. As soon as possible is good. Does anyone can think about a time when you shouldn't give it as soon as possible? That brings me to another point, is about being objective. So if you only have information from one source, it can be biased. So it's good to get as much information as possible before you go to that person with the feedback. Otherwise, you're potentially accusing them of something that they didn't do. And just about being objective, one of the best ways to be objective when you are giving feedback is to only focus on observed behaviours. So when you are giving feedback, only look at what you can see or hear. So if you say, for example, saying something as simple as you were 10 minutes late is better than saying you're always late. So you're always late is very subjective. You are 10 minutes late, you can't argue with that. Or rather than saying you generally speak too fast, I guess. But it's if you can think of specific behaviours, then that person can focus on those. And therefore, they are less likely to take it personal. So, someone who, if they feel that they're being attacked for who they are and the way that they teach, for example, that can result in them being defensive. And it's not very productive for that person in terms of their learning. So the best thing to do is to try and keep as objective as possible. Focus on what you see, and that way it kind of removes the personal aspect. You're saying you're giving someone a list. And we should do this, I guess, when we fill out forms for TEFLs, is that you write down what you see, and they can't argue with that if that's what you see. Another thing, what are you laughing at? Another thing is that this might sound obvious, but you should only give feedback on things that they can actually change. because the whole purpose of giving feedback is so that they can change. So that sounds really strange, but actually people do that a lot. So for if someone's accent, or if someone has anything, something like that, then you shouldn't really give feedback on that, because there's not much they can do about it. Well, you can change your accent, but it takes a while. Be optimistic, so avoid being too critical. I know that's difficult, but I guess the idea is that I mentioned about the shit sandwich, and I love saying that word.
Is there another way of saying that? Because I never use shit sandwich. Is that a polite, professional way of saying shit sandwich? I don't know of one.
I mean, yeah, you can use it.
Say
You probably wouldn't put it on a PowerPoint slide, but yeah, it's well known. Yeah, it's well known. Along with WTFM. Read the F in mail. People will write that, yeah. But I mean, it's obviously a little bit unprofessional, but it's. And just a couple more. One is to tailor your responses. So that's hard to do if you don't know the person. But some people will take feedback better than others. Some people are more sensitive than others. And some people don't mind you just giving it to them straight. And so when you get to know someone, you can kind of learn how they like to receive feedback. And the final one is ask for feedback yourself. So if you feel that that this is going to be a difficult conversation, or this might not go down well because their class didn't go so well, you might want to say, okay, well, why don't you give me feedback? How can I improve? And that way you kind of create a bit of shared collaboration. So those are my tips. So does anyone have any questions?
Maybe I want to ask you, do you guys ask for feedback from your students? Do you ask your students to give you feedback about the class?
Which students, the TEFLs or the...
No, the English learners. Do you ask
I ask any questions.
Questions but not feedback.
Yeah.
No.
But any questions is like the end of the class, isn't it? Any questions? Nope, I'm off then.
Yeah.
We're gone.
If it's my first time with them on a rotation house, is there anything that you have to look at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that as well.
And do they give you feedback, like voluntarily?
Yeah.
Rarely.
They say
I don't go to
that was a great class, or they rarely do.
They give me feedback from the last teacher, whoever that
Oh,
might
I guess.
When it's
No,
the
I don't
first
think
class
people
you
want to
do
say
the
something.
rotation,
Yeah.
I get like hit the I don't remember the name. Evan side. First class with the P5 3 weeks ago. They gave me
Feedback about the previous teacher. No.
well, not the previous, but about
One
my
of
class.
the teachers.
About my class.
Ah,
my
about
first
your
class. Yeah.
Ah, excellent. Okay.
Usually when it's the first class in the rotation.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's good.
The best feedback I always get is, oh, my English is improved. My friends tell me that I speak better and I can make sentences
That's
better.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Music for my ears.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.